Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, the other day I was asked what did I overall think on Just a Robot? And it's one of those questions where you gotta sit down, you gotta think about it. And as I'm sitting down thinking of the 9 years I have dealt with this guy, what's crazy is that I couldn't give out a realistic answer because there's so many different things to talk on, from him as a person, his upbringings, his content creating career, his content creating persona. The attitude he puts out there, from I guess how he pretty much puts himself out there for his audience. And yeah, it's so many different things to talk about. I don't know where to start. So when this YouTuber, when he asked me that question, I gave him a short answer, and I felt like that it wasn't a good answer. I felt like that I could have provided a better answer, and that's why I'm doing this podcast episode, to overall explain that, because I think a lot of people do think that I have hatred in my heart towards him. I don't, to tell you guys the truth. I think I've said that before, but just in case if you guys are new to my channel and you're wondering, no, I don't hate Just a Robot. He's somebody that I feel like if he has the bad intentions and the wrong ideas, all that stuff, I do feel that he doesn't need to be on the internet. But that's the thing, we'll never know that. I guess we won't know unless he goes out and does something. But that's the thing, though, he has. Why is he still here to this day? I definitely do think that he shouldn't be on the internet. If I could keep it a buck with you guys, because it doesn't seem like that he's getting any better. It just seems like that what he tries to do is that he gets called out for something, he tries brushing it underneath the rug. Fam, the things that you've been called out for, you can't just act like that stuff don't exist, or, oh, I gotta see proof of it, I gotta see. And that's what I think what he wants to do. He wants to wait up until it gets to a point where, yeah, proof is provided, but it's it shouldn't get to that point. If people are calling you out for your behavior, you need to change right then and there. But that's the thing. He ain't gonna listen to nobody. He ain't gonna listen to nobody unless and that's the thing. It's I don't know. There's so many doors with Just a Robot, and I feel like a lot of these doors are never going to open up. And that's why I'm I feel like I can't give a genuine answer on what do I overall think about Just a Robot. I do think that he's somebody that needs psychological help, but it's how far is that gonna go? That's the thing that I wonder about, when it's you got somebody that they're that far gone mentally, how could you possibly help them? And I know a lot of people will probably try to defend him and say, oh, he's not gone mentally, he's just misguided, they say the same thing about them dudes that be shooting up places. Oh, they're just misguided, they were mistreated as a kid, they were this, they were that. And it's why does it need to get to that point? And that's the type of stuff that I think with Just a Robot. I think he's that type of person where with the wrong tools, he's going to use it against somebody. Now, whatever them tools may be, just look at how he's acted throughout his content creating career. He's used his own channel to try to tear other people down. And I know people will try to say oh, he's just giving out criticism, he's just doing this, he's just doing that. You can say whatever you want to say trying to defend him. At the end of the day, if you are watching anything Just a Robot related, there ain't gonna be no defending, at least no proper defending. Look at that Vincent Martin guy. That's why I'm yeah, you can't defend Just a Robot for his actions back then or his actions now. And it was funny because there's the one guy, and that's what even with his fans, you see them and they're an exact representation of who Just a Robot is. You'll have it where there's some that'll go a little bit too far with their actions, and then there's some that just pretty much mimics Just a Robot. But no, yeah, there was this one guy that I was getting into it with alongside with Just a Robot on Twitter. And I remember him saying that all the people that Just a Robot has made videos on, they've all deserved that. And I think he was they deserve it and they threw the first punch, something along those lines. But anyways, I'm thinking to myself, I'm fam, when I very first came across Just a Robot, he made the first person to make a video about somebody was him. I didn't even know who he was when I had during that time frame. So it's just funny how Just a Robot and his fans. That's one thing I definitely will say about them, is that they are liars. And yeah, it all stems from Just a Robot. I mean, that man done lied probably quite a few times, if not all the times throughout his career. You know, we'll never get the proper truth out of Just a Robot, because I feel that he thinks along the lines like people are going to be ashamed of him, and it's like, people are already ashamed of you, so what do you have to lose if you tell the truth? You know, it's like you're thinking like, oh, I'm gonna lose my content creating street cred. You already lost that when you decided to do a video defending a pedophile. So like, at the end of the day, what do you have to lose by telling the truth? Like, I guess like my question to him is, when was the last time you did tell the truth? You know, because I feel like he's somebody where it's like, anytime when he's talking about himself on the internet, he's lying. I can't trust him, because I just remember the one video that he uploaded about me, where it was talking on that night in December where like the drama had like really ignited and stuff. And he left out like half the conversation where he was insulting me. He made it seem like that the first thing that he said that night was he wanted to come to my channel and give me advice about being a content creator. And I'm like, for one, I'm never going to take advice from you. That's never going to happen. With all the different stuff that you... And the crazy thing is that this was at the point in time where I like... It was still within the first year I had... Because I had found out about him in 2016. So this was later on this year. I didn't know nothing about him besides the little that I had like interacted with them throughout the internet, like Twitter, YouTube stuff, and then the short minutes that I spent watching videos that he made on me and stuff. Other than that, like, I didn't know about the racism, I didn't know about the sexism, I didn't know about, like, you know, none of that stuff, and anything else that he's been called out for. I didn't know about any of that. Like, that year, that was the first time I had ever heard anything about Just a Robot. So that's why I'm like, you know, him trying to, I guess, come to my channel and give me advice and all that, but yeah, that's why I'm like, nah, bro, I'm not taking no advice from you. But it's just, I think about that night, and I'm like, what advice could you have possibly given me to help out my channel? You know, and then when you look at all the people that were surrounding him, from his friends, from himself to his friends and his fans, like, you see where a lot of them are gone today. So like, that's why I'm like, fam, I'm trying to make content creating into a full-time job. Well, I mean, it already is, but yeah, if I would have listened to him, it definitely wouldn't have been no full-time job. But anyways, but yeah, like I was saying though, like, he left out half the conversation that night. So it's like, how can you trust anything that Just a Robot says? You know, and I guess like, that's asking a friend of his, that's asking a fan of his, that's asking his girlfriend, just anybody that is not blood related, even if you are blood related to him. Like, cause I know he, from what I heard, he be getting into it with his sister. I guess I don't know if this is true or not, but he got kicked out of his roommate's house because I guess he broke or destroyed something in there. Got kicked out, or apartment, I believe. But got kicked out of there. Is living with his sister. I guess got into it with his sister over her weight. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, for one, how are you gonna be in somebody else's house or a place where unless he is paying rent? I don't know. But my thing is this: how are you? I assume that it's his sister's place. How are you gonna be at her place telling her about herself? And it's like, fam, you don't have no ownership there. So I partially believe that could be the case, that could be true, that he went over to his sister's place and he just he's trying to like boss her around. And it's like, fam, it doesn't work like that. It never will work like that. The thing is this: you are the boss of yourself. I feel like if there's anything that I can tell Just a Robot, you are the boss of yourself. You can only boss yourself around. But when it comes down to other people, it's like you can't boss people around IRL or on the internet. And I definitely feel like that his sister hasn't been the first victim of that. I guarantee and I promise you, he's most likely going to try to boss other people around. If we called up some of the places that he was employed at, yeah, there probably some things where he was carrying on like Dwight from whatchamacallit, The Office. And it's like, fam, you think you got this power over people? You don't. That's the thing, you don't. You only got power over yourself. And that's the issue with people like him when they get a little bit of power, they want to use it on other people. And I'm like, fam, you know, and that's one thing that he's always displayed throughout his, at least throughout the time that I've interacted with him, is that he wants to have a control over people. And I guarantee and I promise you that if I had decided to partner up with him in things, and like back in 2016, yeah, he definitely would have been trying to have ownership of my channel. And that's why I'm like, if not that, then I definitely think he would have tried to have some sort of ownership over me. He's like, hey, you do this for me, otherwise I'm going to make a video about you. And I say that because when you look at him and Lyle Convoy's situation, I guess because I don't know, I think from what I remember in that call that they had, he did say that he was going to make a video about Lyle Convoy, and it's like, well, why? If this is somebody that you look up to, this is somebody that you're supposed to be good friends with, why are you going to make a video on them rather than just sitting down talking with them? It's like, is content creating that like much involved in your life to where it's like you're willing to throw a whole friendship away? I really don't know at the end of the day what that video would have been about, but I guarantee and I promise you, with Just a Robot's track record, it wasn't going to be a video talking good about Lyle Convoy. Maybe, possibly, but yeah, I feel like that he's looking at Lyle as that he can't do anything, like he can't provide for me, like, you know, because I think Lyle Convoy, he got canceled for some stuff, so I think that's what Just a Robot was going to make a video on. And yeah, I'm like, he's definitely a snake. He's somebody where it's like, you know, if you're willing to snake out your own friends for some content, that's why I'm like, you know, if Lyle Convoy, if he still considers Just a Robot a friend, I'm like, yeah, man, you're more of a forgiving person than I am. Because if somebody was carrying on like that and they were in my circle, I'm like, I gotta cut that person off. I'm like, drop all communications, contact, all that stuff. I'm like, you know, you focus on your area of the internet, and I'm gonna focus on my area of the internet. But from this day forward, yeah, we can't be cool with each other and stuff. So. But I mean, like, but when you look at how quick his fans, but I mean, I feel like that his fans, they had the, like, you know, they have better intentions, you know. So after that Cinnabbear crap had happened, yeah, they was all like, nah, this guy is sick. He's out here defending the pedophile and things. Like, yeah, I can't be a fan of somebody like that. But yeah, you seen where there were quite a few of his friends. They just, even before then, you seen where they were jumping ship, because even before that whole situation had went down, there was, yeah, he didn't have the same fan base he had once before. So, and I think like that's what he overall, like when he made the one video on me, where is TMossBoss right now, I think what he was thinking that he still had that fan base, but I don't think he understood that it's like, yeah, his channel was in a dying stage. Because I remember when he made that video and it was like, there is absolutely nothing had happened to my channel. So I was like, that's why I was like, okay, like I ain't got nothing to worry about. Like he's somebody where he's definitely a user, you know. I feel like that he's doesn't have like a proper relationship with his fan base like most content creators do, where it's like they want to give back to their fans, they want to communicate, like because that's something that I've always has said about me and my fans, is that I look at us as them group of friends that's sitting at the lunchroom table in school, you know. So that's why I'm like, yeah, you know, where it ain't even a situation where it's like, if you want to get in contact with me or you want to be in my circle, you got to do something for me and stuff. No, I'm like, as long as you a cool individual and you ain't acting shady or weird or anything, so I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, you welcome into the community and stuff. But yeah, it's like I just feel like that he wants to just use his fans. Like he doesn't, yeah, like I say, he doesn't have a proper relationship with his fans. It's like that's why I feel like that a lot of them were quick to jump ship and just leave and not defend him when all this Cinnabbear, or even when any other stuff had happened. Because look at, even when you look at the domino effect of all the different things that came out afterwards, from stalking the people at VidCon, from you know, some more racism allegations, I'm trying to think, sexism allegations, you know, I'm trying to think of some other stuff that he's been called out for. Yeah, I mean, but like, you didn't see nobody jump into his defense, because I think they all realized that it's like, okay, well, do you think he would have did the same for me if I was in this situation? And when you looked at some of the for an example, his editor, the one that got caught up being a pedophile himself, where it was just a robot when all that stuff had happened. He made sure to still keep the videos up that he worked on, but as far as defending them, he's like, no, I can't do that. So it's like that's something that, you know, if you are just a robot fan, you should, because even with this Vincent Martin guy, he didn't jump to his defense after he made that, or he shared the video and he just, I guess, to spread some awareness to it and things, and look how that backfired. So that's why I'm like, yeah, bruh, you know, he don't care about his fans. He care about what his fans can do for him. But as far as anything else, it's like, nah, bruh, he don't care about that. And then last but not least, I wanted to talk on his upbringing. I wanted to talk on, I guess, like how it was, or more so what I personally believe how it was for him when he was a kid, you know, growing up in his household and things. And I think I've said this before, it's either one of two things. His family is extremely normal, and he just, for some odd reason, didn't want to be like them and wanted to follow. Because I personally think it was probably on some stuff where they like they kind of just like kept him behind closed doors, because they realized that he was going to be a problem, and so they're like, nah, we can't have him in no school, because like look how he's because my thing is this: if he already done said that he done got fired from numerous jobs, I feel like that you have a little bit more freedom in a workplace, but at the same time, it's like you're making money, like, so you don't want to do anything to ruin the workplace and stuff. I feel like if it comes down between getting fired, like, yeah, you get fired, you're gone, you're done. There ain't no such thing as a, like, if you're working at a restaurant, like, you're fired, you're done. Like, there ain't no, oh, you're gonna get suspended then come back after a couple of days. No, you're gone, you're done and stuff. So my thing is this: imagine if he did go to public schools. How would that, and that's the thing, like, I've seen people, I grew up with people like Just a Robot, and they were nothing but problems. Like, you see these types of kids in the classroom getting kicked out of the classroom. You've seen it where it's like kids looked at them differently. It's like it was one of those things where it's just, you know, they might have had friends, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, bro, you definitely one of those weird kids where it's like we gotta we gotta make sure that they ain't got no like large cases of some sorts and they're carrying something in them, because yeah, you're not wrapped in the head too tight and stuff. So yeah, it's like there's this one kid, I can't think of that kid's name, but anyways, I just remember, like, every time after school, he always would do this, like, this Naruto run and stuff, and it's like, fam, it's, why are you running? It's like, it ain't even like you're late anywhere and stuff. You're just going home. I mean, I'm saying, like, you're going to get winded out halfway home. Like, stop it. Just walk, bro. Do what all of us is doing, or you catch the bus, something. But anyways, but yeah. So I remember that kid. He was hard headed. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. That kid was hard headed. Like, he had something off with him. I think it was it Asperger's or was it something else? I can't remember. But anyways, I do remember that it was like, yeah, something was off with him and things. But yeah, there would be at times where he would say things like, there was this one kid, and I do remember that kid a little bit better than this the other kid that I was talking, the one that did the Naruto run and stuff. But no, there was this one kid I remember, because I think he did get kicked out of it wasn't like no suspended, like he actually got expelled, because I'm saying, like, any time when he interacted with somebody, it always had to be something negative. And I think I might have talked on this kid before, but anyways, again, another kid that had he had something off with him and things. And yeah, maybe Just a Robot, he might be a little autistic, because I was like, the way that he does remind me of these two kids. But anyways, so the one kid that I went to middle school and high school with, and the one he definitely got expelled, because I remember it was like a fight video that came out after him where he was fighting these so he was getting into it with one of my friends. And then another kid had jumped in, was like, hey bro, you need to calm down. Then he started fighting with him, and I'm like, bro, what is this guy's problem? But I just remember back when we were in middle school, me and him, we had had this interaction where he threatened to stab me with an eraser. And I'm like, look, bro, you know, I'm trying to have respect for you and what you know, like the stuff that you got going on and things. but don't get it twisted. Like I will hurt you. You know, like that's one of those things. I'm like, I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, I'm just going to allow you to hurt me and things because you got autism and this and that and blah blah. I'm like, nah, bro, you put hands on me, I'm putting hands on you back. So I suggest you think about that. I'm like, think long and hard about it, because I'm like, I guarantee and I promise you, it's like you trying to do something to alter my well-beings. Yes, I'm like, I might not do anything to alter your well-beings, but I'm gonna let you know, it's like, yeah, you can't just be starting fights with people and stuff. So I did warn that kid. I told him, I'm like, hey, bro, you don't you don't want to. I understand something is off with you, but don't get it twisted. I'm like, I will hurt you in this classroom, and I will not think twice about it. It's been a while since I've had a crash out. Oh yes, please believe me, I am looking forward to having a good old-fashioned crash out. So crash out wasn't invented back then when I was in middle school. I don't remember word for word what I said, but it was something along those lines. But anyways, but yeah, he ended up getting expelled when we were in high school for fighting. Then the other kid, he threatened me with like that water torture stuff when they put a towel over your face and then they spray it with water and it's like hard to breathe and all that crap. Yeah, he was like, because I remember I had never heard of that before, and I think I remember they did have it in that movie Zero Dark 30, but I don't think that movie had came out yet. So that was my first time ever hearing about it, because we were in the classroom. I can't remember how we got on that topic, but we were in the classroom, we were talking about it. I wasn't even talking to him. That was the crazy thing about it. I remember talking to another kid in the classroom, so this was our first time ever having a conversation. So anyways, one of the kids had mentioned it, and I'm like, what's that? I'm like, what's water torture? I'm like, what, you just drinking things of what? Because like me, I was a little bit on the slow side. So like when I hear things for the first time, whatever pops in my mind first, that's what I'm gonna be thinking. So I'm thinking, is it like, or what, you drinking water or something? Like what is that? So anyways, mind you, again, first interaction that I have with this kid, I'm looking dead on, like eyes, like eyeballs locked on one of my friends. All of a sudden, the weird kid that did the Naruto run and stuff, he goes on and says, oh, you want to find out? So I look over at him and I'm like, what? And so I was kind of confused by what he meant by it and things. And then, yeah, that's when, like, some other kids had chimed in, and they was all like, hey, man, like talking to him, like, hey, bro, stop it. Like, leave this kid alone. He ain't did nothing to you and stuff. So other kids had knew that he was weird. That was my first time ever encountering his weirdness, but it wasn't the last. Like I said, like, he was doing that Naruto run every day. Hallways, after school, before school, literally everywhere. He's probably still to this day doing that run. What else? I remember there was a time where it snowed really bad, and when, like, at our school, because our school was an outdoor school, so it snowed really bad. They had this area that was blocked off because there was a lot of ice and stuff. So he's looking at the area as it's blocked off, and he starts walking around it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna let him know. I'm like, hey, don't walk over there. There's some ice and stuff. He just looked at me. He said something smart, and I was like, all right, it's whatever. I ain't gonna, you slip and fall. As soon as I'm thinking that kid slipped and fell, and I'm like, yeah, it's people like them where it's like you try telling them things, they don't want to listen, you know, but they expect you to sit down and listen to them on stuff. Guess who that reminds you of? Yeah, I'm like, yeah, our good old friend, Just a Robot. So it's like, yeah, you look at a lot of his content, and it's like, I mean, what, he had like a little series going on where it's like, oh, this person doesn't understand Just a Robot, that person doesn't understand Just a Robot. No, the thing is this, the difference from your version of us not understanding from our version is that we're choosing to not understand you, because you have a way of saying things where it's not going to make sense to the average human being, you know. So like, yeah, and then I guess like maybe to somebody of your likings it'll make sense and stuff, but it's like I could just imagine that it's just gonna, it ain't going to be like, no, I'm taking in information and I'm learning something from it. Like, what are you going to learn from Just a Robot? You know, like what valuable educational information can you honestly learn from Just a Robot? Absolutely nothing. He probably doesn't even know what form of like autism he has, and probably just discovered dyslexia. And you know, that's the thing with the autism and dyslexia. Like the autism, he might be suffering from that, but the dyslexia, because the funny thing is that he always would talk about that when I had like very first I started coming across him, where he would use like he would write out a script and he would get on me for not writing out a script and things. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, he's talked about writing out scripts before. Then I just remember there was this time where it was, I think his name was, I Bully Bullies, but I think he was going by that name by the time we had this conversation. Prior before that, I can't remember. It's like mainstream commentary or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, I remember the I Bully Bullies guy, so he reaches out to me and he wanted me and Just a Robot to have a call. And so I'm like, all right, it's like if he wants to apologize, I mean, he could just tweet it out, make a quick video, something. But I just don't want to talk with him. It's like there ain't no reason to talk with him and stuff. So then I was all like, but yeah, if he wants to apologize, then I'm like, he could type that stuff out. He could tweet it, whatever, comment underneath the video. I don't care. Message me. It's like, it's whatever. It's like, but yeah, he could just apologize, and then that could be it and stuff. And then that's when it was brought to my attention that he has dyslexia, and I'm thinking to myself, so all of a sudden now he had dyslexia. Never mentioned before, never talked about before, but all of a sudden now, when you gotta take accountability for your actions, you now have dyslexia, and you can't properly apologize to people that you've wronged. Yeah, sure, okay. So I personally don't believe the dyslexia stuff. A part of me doesn't even believe the autism stuff too. I just think that whatever his parents was teaching him, it didn't work, because he for those that don't know, he was homeschooled, and I'm like, if his parents, because I'm trying to think, like I don't know too much info about his parents, just from what was being talked on was like something about, it was something about his mom being weird, and I'm like, if she is weird and she was your teacher, like she's teaching, bruh, I don't know how that's going to necessarily work out. I don't know how you're going to learn any valuable information if your mom is crazy and stuff. So that's why I'm like, bro, I don't know how that worked out, and we all do know how that works out. It's like we end up dealing with somebody like Just a Robot. It's just crazy to me. It's like I feel like even being homeschooled, like if he wants to blame that, I'm like, fam, there's kids that I went to. Well, one of my friends, when did she start doing the homeschooling stuff? I think it was high school. She was doing the homeschooling stuff. But I imagine that there's probably a gang of people that then did homeschooling. They came up out of there perfectly fine, normal, not being weird or any of that stuff. So it's like you can't blame homeschooling. You can't blame your parents. You can't blame whoever. It's like it's one of those things where it's like for once in your life you are going to have to blame yourself. And I just think that's his issue. He doesn't want to look that person in the mirror. I would say man, but he doesn't strike me as a manly individual. He strikes me as a very timid kid where he just so happens to be in an adult body and stuff. But mentally he's definitely he has a child mentality. And it's like he at some point in time he is gonna have to grow up, and I just don't know exactly when that would happen, but overall though, I'm like he needs to grow up, and I think that's overall what I think about Just a Robot. If I missed out on any things, I'll be sure to add on to this, either an extra or do a part 2 or something. But I feel like I've covered everything I needed to cover, said everything that I needed to say. Just a Robot, to just conclude and finalize this podcast episode. He's a weird individual, might need help, might just need to overall step away from content creating, because it really isn't for him. I'd rather trust a 3-year-old child to be a content creator. I mean, at least with them, they don't have the mindset to be evil to their content creating peers and stuff. All they just gonna probably end up doing anyways is reviewing some Hot Wheel cars and some toys and crap, reviewing Cocomelon episodes and things. I'd rather see that type of content. At least my thing is this: at least you'll be able to, if this kid is growing up in the right environment, at least you'll be able to see a kid grow up into being a legend in the makings and stuff. But it's like, it just trips me out how somebody can be in their 30s. I think Just a Robot, he is in his 30s, but be in his 30s, and it's like, fam, you still don't know how to act right. That's just that to me, that type of stuff. I'm like, it's just weird, man. You know, you shouldn't be carrying on like that, not at your age. So, but anyways, yeah. At the end of the day, I feel like that we'll never really know when Just a Robot will change. He probably won't ever change. I feel like the day he'll try to change is the day where he deals with a cancellation worse than the Cinebear cancellation. So, I don't know, man. Let's see what happens in the future and stuff. Probably might do a remake of this podcast episode and things, and then add on some new info if there is any new info to talk on. But anyways, yeah. With that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, viewing this on YouTube. Follow, subscribe, viewing this on the podcast streaming service. And peace.